Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast Show 51. No matter what kind of structure you're doing in real estate, whether you're structuring the deal, whether you're structuring the financing, or whether you're structuring a lease, it has to be a win-win every single time. You've got to win for sure, but the person that you're making this deal with also has to win. The seller, the tenant, the lender. Everybody wins. Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast with your host Eric and Tiffany Vogel. We've spent several hard years building a rental property portfolio so we can have more time with our family and live our ideal life. Now, finding your path can be difficult, so we're here to guide you along the way with lessons, tips, and tricks to design and implement your dream life. Now, sit back, turn up the volume, smash that follow button, and get ready for this episode of the On Purpose Investor. Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast. I'm your host, Eric, with my beautiful, lovely, just amazing mom of a wife, just incredible, 800 miles away. You can see we're a little separated here. My co-host,
Tiffany.
Wow. What? I'm back in it. I'm back to it. I'm back to the way I used to be on introducing my amazing co-host.
You refound yourself. Oh, joy.
I have found myself. There is Zen.
Yeah,
you might be wondering why I'm in a hotel and why she's at home while I'm away on some military training and been gone for quite some time and really missing home. And Tiffany's just been mom of the universe, mom of the century, holding down the fort.
We pre-recorded a lot of episodes. So the stuff that came out last week, we recorded before you left. So it's been, two and a half months since we've recorded.
Yeah.
And we're back. We've been doing a ton of work on building out On Purpose Investor. And I'm really excited to shift things a little bit in how we talk and what we're presenting. And we're behind the scenes developing a really awesome program that's going to come out this fall. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, we're super excited to be back and hopefully give you some good nuggets about why saving tons of cash is not the way to do it.
Wow, you stole my thunder, babe. So welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast, show number 51. That is right. Why saving tons of cash is the worst way to get started as a real estate investor.
Yeah, I mean, we get the feeling of security that comes from having cash in the bank and putting large down payments, and it makes it easier to invest. We realized really quickly that we could not leverage our own cash. We ran out of money so fast, and we used every penny we could find to invest in real estate. I mean, I don't know if you remember, like, let's take a loan on this 401k and use some credit cards.
That. I went into the garage and I was like, what can I sell? I sold like this old workout system I had. I sold a motorcycle. I sold some like instruments I had sitting in the closet. It's like,
right.
What can I sell? We need cash to buy rentals and I'm just going to liquidate.
You should do that now so we can clean out the garage because it is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. Listen, if anyone out there is like, I'm the best home organizer on this planet, honestly, I would love for you to come over and help me sort out my just disaster of a garage. We moved into our new house about 4 months ago, maybe 5-6 months ago.
Oh, wow.
And
we moved right before the baby was born. He's 7 months.
All right. We moved 7 months ago. And in that time, we brought our second born into this world. And I went on one small deployment for 6 weeks. And there was the holidays, and I'm on my second small deployment. And it's been almost 2 months now since I've been home. And just no time really to go in there and sort out that garage. So if you're a home organizer and you want to
come Marie Kondo Eric's garage, that's what he needs. Maybe you just
take
Marie
what
Kondo.
You want. Yeah. There we go.
All right.
Anyways, I digress.
So we sold whatever we could. We scrimped and saved to find cash, but that's really not the best way to do it. And thinking a different way can help you grow a lot faster and reach your dream life sooner. And there's some tactics we used that worked well in the market that was around when we were investing, primarily BRRRRs. I don't know that strategy necessarily works in the current environment, But the idea is not necessarily the strategy. It's the changing your way of thinking to see the possibilities out there and know that it's not a requirement. Real estate's really fluid. And if you put yourself in a box, you'll be stuck in the box. So try to think outside of the box and go with us on this journey. I know if you think having cash will help you get there faster, but do you think Grant Cardone and Brandon Turner sit there and invest their own cash in their deals? I mean, you said you were watching some Grant Cardone earlier.
Yeah, and he was just essentially the message was he was breaking down what it would take to make $1 million a year. And he, took $1 million divided by 12 and took 12 divided by how many hours are in a week and how much you would have to make each hour, 24 hours a day to get there. And said, that's really the nugget on how to back into how much money do I need to make to hit this money goal of mine. And he said, the problem in our public school system is essentially they're teaching us how to develop a skill set to later exchange for money. And he said, they're putting it backwards. Essentially, you need to have your goal up front and then figure out what are you good at to reach that goal. So don't say I need to develop how to become, a underwater basket weaver and, later decide, okay, if I invest some money, I'll get to these goals one day. He said, no, start with the goal in mind first and figure out what the heck do you need to do to make that happen as soon as possible.
Right. And it's leveraging money and time. So those two things together, if you can find ways to find the money and leverage other people's time, you can scale infinitely. And we, in our program that I'm working on, are developing a way to have you work on the things you enjoy and leverage other people for the things you don't enjoy. I'm super excited for what's to come with that. But I guess I want to say Grant Cardone, Brandon Turner, all the real estate greats out there, they learned how to use their skills and not their own cash to build a portfolio. And they use other people's time also. But I really want to focus on other people's money right now. You don't have to want to grow to be as big as someone like that. It works even just for a small 5 to 10 home portfolio. But if you want to grow quickly and reach your dream life as fast as possible, you have to find ways to leverage other people's cash. So saving that 20% down payment, it's going to take you longer than if you learn how to leverage. So let's talk a little bit about the kinds of lenders out there and how you can leverage other people's money. So we've got banks. That's your local bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, your local credit union. We've used a couple of them. We used conventional loans to get lower interest rates, and that helps us cash flow like crazy. We use the Burr method, though, to get there.
So, we were able to not have to bring 20% down. The built-in sweat equity that we added to those properties was that 20% down. So it is still an 80-20 base, but we didn't have to bring a lot of cash to the table because it was the sweat equity that created that 20%.
Right. And like I said before, I don't know if this strategy really works well in the current market conditions, but there are strategies that will work and let you scale quickly. And one of those is partnering. We go to a meetup, and if you read our book, Sammy is the guy that runs the meetup in the book. Our friend is based off of Sammy, or Sammy's based off of him. And he always talks about half pie deals. So you want to talk a little bit about what a half pie deal is?
Yeah. So essentially, I come to you and I was developing my skill set on finding distressed properties with motivated sellers. And let's say I have 5 target properties. I'm like, all of these sellers are interested. They all want to sell their houses, and I have a great deal on all 5 of these. But let's say they all want $100,000 each. I'm $500,000 light. I don't have $500,000. So I go to Tiffany and I say, hey, Tiffany, I have these contracts worth $500,000, but after repair value is $2 million, and it's only going to need $250K to fix up. So there's going to be a lot of equity there. Will you work with me?
Right.
And Tiffany might say, well, I would love to give you that $500,000 and I'll give you money to renovate it, but I want 50% of the deal.
Right. So that's 50% of the cash flow and the upside and appreciation. And you can make a lot of money and scale quickly if you can leverage that model.
And you might be thinking, who in the world has just $500,000, $750,000 just sitting there waiting for it to go to work? I think you would be pleasantly surprised to know that the gray-haired, the blue-haired folks that are at these real estate meetings are just dying for some young whippersnapper to show up to one of those meetings with all of these awesome deals and approach them and say, I have great deals. I have the hustle. I have the energy and I have the time. I need your money.
Yeah.
They would just be excited to help you achieve your goals. And it's going to help them as well.
Right. They don't want to invest the time anymore. They have the money. They've built their wealth. They don't want to continue hustling. So they're more than happy to partner with someone that will do the work and take half the profits and cash flow.
And the last time we were at our real estate meetup that we kind of did like a write on a sheet of paper how much lazy money you have right now. And it was in several millions, probably tens of millions.
We talked about it last month. I think we landed somewhere around 6 million was the consensus of what the group remembered.
6 million of lazy money. Lazy money meaning money that is ready to go to work, readily deployable money.
Right. And
waiting for these half pies deals.
Right. And there's not just people within the real estate circles. I mean, you might have a family member or a close friend or someone from church or, you know, someone in your network that has lazy money that they want to put to work. And we would consider that to be private money. They're not real estate investors. They're not in the industry, but they want to earn above average returns from what they could get in a money market fund. And they'd be more than happy. And you would pay less than the hard money rates, which hard money are people who are in the industry as a real estate professional, and have money. So I guess framing it in a way that, yes, you give up half of the deal and yes, you're doing all the work, but 50% of something is a lot better than 100% of nothing.
Absolutely. And you might be wondering, like, how are you going to navigate the conversation with somebody that has private money? They have private lazy money. How are you going to navigate that conversation? How do you go to somebody and say, hey, I want to put your money to work in this thing that I'm doing in real estate? Well, I mean, there are different strategies you can to speak to them on how safe it can be and how it diversifies their money and their investments, and how volatile the stock market can be. We're entering a very unique season of the economy in the world, not just in our country. And I truly believe in the next 24 months, things are going to look very different. And people are going to be looking for ways to safely store and secure their money. And I doubt it's going to be CDs, and I doubt it's going to be in the stock market. So we're entering a season where you're going to need to be well-versed on how to have conversations with people on how you can use their money and how you can help them grow wealth while you're also growing your own. So that private money, I think we're really entering a season that is going to be a home run of a thing to learn.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for us, our portfolio is so successful because of the financing and the interest rates that we have on it. And just using 20% down and a hard money lender or a DSCR loan will only get you so far. So if you can find someone, I think DSCR loans, there's like 7.5% interest right now as of, late May 2023. So if you can find someone that's willing to take a 5% loan, and when you're working with a private individual, they're a little bit more flexible if something comes up and you need to pay late, or which, not advocating paying late, but if you get in a pickle, they're a lot more willing to work with you than some of the banks would be. So, a mentor of ours, Pete Fortunado, says, use what you have to get what you want, to get what you need. And the idea is, usually when you're starting in real estate, you don't have tons of cash. You might have some, but people have more time that they can devote to the business. And if you can give up some of that time to somebody who has the cash and work together, you get a built-in mentor, someone that has vested interest in this succeeding because they don't want to lose their money. And they're protected also. I'm saying if you go with someone that's in the industry, if you go with private money, you need to make sure you know what you're doing and that you're protecting that person. But you have the home as collateral. So as long as you're not over leveraging and buying great deals, it can scale infinitely because you're not relying on your own money. You can go find more people out there. There are thousands of people that have money and want to invest in real estate, but don't have the time. And if you have the time, you can be their resource to help them grow their own wealth also.
The most important thing when it comes to working with private lenders is your reputation. That's the only thing that you'll likely never be able to recover from, unless you like move to a different part of the world and like you're unheard of and you change your name. But be above board with everything that you do. Make your payments on time, pay them back, make sure you're not, selling off their money in a way that's illegal or, below board.
Over communicate. Anytime there's remotely an issue that you think you're going to be late on a payment, let them know the second you realize it.
A lot of people that we've studied from and learned from said that they would go without eating. They would skip meals for like days if they had to, so that they could pay their private lenders. Right. They made sure that their private lenders got paid first, no matter what. Because that private lender is likely going to be the reason you are successful, because they're going to tell their other friend that what they're doing in real estate with you has been great and that you're easy to work with and that you pay them back. And that friend is now going to want to lend with you. And then that just spreads like wildfire.
And it reciprocates. One of our lenders was talking at our local meetup and he said, if I don't have the money for a deal for someone that I've been working with for a while, I will break my back trying to find money to make sure they can get that deal done. And we've seen it happen. I mean, we've seen our hard money lenders join forces to help us take down deals. And it's for us at this point, because we have that reputation and have worked our butts to pay them off and make sure they are always whole and then some if need be. There's no question, it's like, hey, I have this deal. We don't have to worry about, is that lender going to come through? Because we help them and they help us. It goes back and forth.
And there's definitely been times for Tiffany and I where we were just like, I don't know how we're going to pay, the mortgages this month, because maybe there's one, turnover that turned into like this big renovation, and there's this other property that is almost listed, but not quite there yet. We have all of these mortgages coming up. And so we had to do whatever we had to do to get them paid. And that it just continues to snowball in the sense of we're responsible. We take care of our lenders. We always pay them. And that has snowballed into the effect of we essentially, if we have a great deal, we can text or call them and say, hey, I got another one. When can you close? And while they're still interested in the property and making sure that it's, free, clear title and, that there's some equity in there, they trust us. There's a level of trust that has been built over the years of maintaining just a very healthy relationship and reputation.
Yeah. Well, and, we bought a house a couple months ago with a certain plan, and that fell through for us. And we let our lender know what's going on. We were going to do a long-term loan, and usually their long-term rates are a lot lower than the short-term hard money loans. And we let him know, hey, we need to change this up and tell us what the rate is. It was like, there was no thought on our end of like trying to keep the long-term money rate in place, because we change plans. That means they have to go find a way to deploy that money again. So we have to pay them accordingly, as if we went into this with the plan of it being short-term money in the beginning. And funny enough, he sent over the modification paperwork and there was an error saying that the change in the interest rate was effective to the date of the note modification being signed, not retroactive back to the date that we bought it. So there was a conversation where I was just trying to make sure that we were doing it all the way back to the date we bought it, because that's the right thing to do.
It's above board.
Yes. We do more than we have to. because we want to make sure they are taken care of. And if he asked for an extra point to make it a short-term loan, we would have been like, okay, we would not argue, or we'd never have negotiated rates with them. They're in the industry. They know what the going rate is, and they're fair. That's the big thing. Like, we trust them to not try to overcharge us, but
Yeah.
it's,
There's just a certain level of trust.
Yeah. We call them as rates have changed over the last year, and it's like, hey, what's the current rate? Okay, great. And we write it into our numbers. And if it works, then we pursue the deal. If it doesn't work, then we keep looking. But I think if you go into a relationship with a lender trying to haggle rates, it just sets a bad tone.
Yeah. And how that conversation starts, if it starts with the lender saying, hey, rates are this, but it's negotiable, how you respond to that is important. If you go into that conversation and say, no, seriously, just tell me what the fair rate is, and that way I can build my numbers, instead of, approaching it as an opportunity to make more money for yourself. No matter what kind of structure you're doing in real estate, whether you're structuring the deal, whether you're structuring the financing, or whether you're structuring a lease, it has to be a win-win every single time. You've got to win for sure, but the person that you're making this deal with also has to win. The seller, the tenant, the lender, everybody wins.
Yeah, having a longer term focus is key. If you're focused on that one deal, it's going to bite you in the butt when you try to do the next one. Mm-hmm. So think about the long term and your reputation. As Eric said, that's going to be way more valuable than saving a couple $1,000s on a deal. And if you're at the point where you're trying to like find an extra $1,000, then you probably shouldn't be doing that deal. If that's going to make or break it, that's probably not the right deal to take down.
Or you need to revisit how you're funding it. Maybe you need to offer that investor, that private lender, part of the pie and say, I can't afford that. How can I make this even more worthwhile to you? I can't afford your financing, or I can't afford your points. Can I give you a % of this deal that would cover and make you whole? Maybe you don't have the money, but you need to make it happen still. Offer a part of that pie, or bring another investor in the deal and say, hey, I'm $5,000 light on my financing, and they're not interested in getting a % of this deal. Can I give you a % of this deal and you pay for that financing? And let's say someone approached Tiffany and I on that, and they give us 25% of the deal, and they just they needed $10,000 in cash for closing. Well, 25% of a certain kind of deal may one day pay a dividend of like $100,000. So it really depends on the deal and how much, it would really depend on the due diligence on our end, whether we participate. But if there's meat on the bone, you could bet your butt we're going to take a bite.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It doesn't have to be just you and one other individual. Mm-hmm. You can bring in a third person. I wouldn't do more than 3, because then at that point you're just financing a bad deal if you need that many people in the deal. But
or you got some broke friends.
Yeah. Fair. Well, and
we've been there.
It gets a little into like a syndication, and then there's regulations around that. So you want to make sure you're not pooling money in that sense. But there's no harm in having a first position mortgage and having an equity partner or a second position mortgage for that remaining amount that you need. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to get at it. And if you have questions, feel free to DM us on Facebook or Instagram. We'd love to talk through scenarios, but I think the key is think outside of the box. Don't put yourself in this shoehorn of, I have to have 20% down to buy properties, because you will get stopped really quick.
It's thinking so creatively that it sounds insane. Yeah. Just those scenarios of, I have a great deal and I have financing lined up, but I don't have the cash to close. Who does?
Right.
You take this, but where do you go? Like, where do you go to present this? You're sitting in the basement of your parents' house and you're like, I've structured the best deal and I have this loan lined up, but I'm broke. And maybe you're 18 years old and you're still living at home, and that's okay. And you're trying to hustle and you're trying to make this happen. Where the heck do you go? Well, I'll tell you, the first place I would go is I would go on Facebook and I would search real estate investor meetup, or I would Google Real Estate Investor Association and your city and state. I would drive as fast as I can to the next meeting, and I would do everything I could to make sure everyone in that room knows I have a deal and I want you to be a part of it. The best way for people to know that they can help you and that they can be a part of something great is for you to talk about it. If you're a real estate investor and you have never once posted on social media or never once went to a real estate meetup and said, I'm looking for houses to buy, I am a real estate investor. Even if you've never done a deal, I am a real estate investor, and I'm going to scream it from the mountaintops, and everyone I know is going to know that I do this. And you're speaking it into existence. And what you're doing is you're telling everyone what you're doing so that when, old Aunt Susie passes away, and then, your cousins are like, I don't really know what to do with this house, but hey, cousin Eric is a real estate investor, or so he says on Facebook. Let's call him. Oh my gosh, now you have a deal. It just came out of nowhere. Talk about what you do. Talk about it to everyone.
Yeah. And I want to add, going to your local meetup, you have to be cautious because there are sharks out there that if someone's asking for money up front for fees to do like an application and things like that, probably run. Do your due diligence. There's a lot of scams out there offering, I saw something on Facebook the other day. It was like, I have someone offering to do 100% financing, 4% loan, no personal guarantee. And everyone in the comments was like, run, it's a scam. So if it's too good to be true.
Also a prince in Africa.
Right. Definitely do your due diligence and go to your meetup every month and get to know people. And then you can ask, hey, I trust this person. Do you know who this other person is? And you start to get a feel for who the real players are and who you can trust and who's out there trying to make a quick buck, because there's a lot of it out there.
And this is like one of my pet peeves. Don't bring fake deals to an investor, and don't bring almost deals to an investor.
Yes.
They're going to spend time vetting, and they're going to spend time making sure whatever you have is actually good to go. Make sure that thing is locked up and you're under contract, or you're all but a text message or a phone call or a signature away from a contract.
But also
just find something
under contract that you have no way to close.
Yeah.
So
that's where wholesalers get a bad rap.
But if it's a good enough deal, the money will find you, and you advertise it and put yourself out there. If it's a good enough deal, someone will take half that deal or put up the interest or the loan or whatever you need.
It's like, mowing down a giant cornfield on Kevin Costner's farm. If you build a baseball field out there, these angel baseball players will just walk through the corn and start playing baseball. Shoeless Joe Jackson is here.
You done?
I'm done. If you build it, they will come. It's
true, the other thing I want to add is when you go to someone who has money, whether it's a private individual, a hard money lender, any level, you're not asking for money. You're offering them an opportunity to make money on their money. You're not asking for anything. You're offering. And if you can change the way you look at that, you won't feel like I remember our first time asking for money from someone that wasn't family, and it was like terrified.
My palms were sweaty. I had this, arms are heavy. Just vomiting up the sweater. Yeah. Right. Anyways, my palms were sweaty, and I had this little paper clip in my pocket, and I was just twisting that bad boy apart. I think I broke it into 30 pieces by the time I was done talking to the private lender at that meetup, who is now like a great friend and a just, continual private lender for us. But in my pocket, I'm just like, that paper clip just became dust in my pocket. And I was just terrified because I'm like, I'm asking for a lot of money. Like in my mind, like that time, and it was a lot of money. It was, 6 figures. And I'm like, how am I asking some other person just standing right in front of me? It just felt, just like I was living in this dream. It's like, am I really asking somebody for over $100,000 just in a conversation?
Right.
But I didn't have that framework in my mind of, I'm not asking for $100,000. I'm offering an opportunity for them to put their $100,000 to work.
Right. Well, and that deal in particular We didn't know what we had.
Yeah.
And by the time we were done with everything, renovation and everything, we were all in for about 50% of the appraised value. So home run of a deal. He was hoping we didn't pay him so he could get
I'm
that
sure
house.
he was. I'm sure he was.
We were like, we thought the appraised value was going to be a good deal, but not like a home run where we were going to pull a ton of cash out.
We were thinking on this deal, let's just talk. We were thinking it was going to come in at like $135,000, maybe $140,000. And then the appraisal came in at $200,000.
And we were 100 all in.
We just kind of looked at each other like, huh? Like, what the heck just happened? It was insane.
Yeah. And I mean, that was pure dumb luck. I don't have anything else to call it, but it was a great deal.
It was forced, opportunity. I don't truly believe in like true pure luck, because had we never put ourselves in the situation to buy that and stayed diligent and made multiple offers and stayed in touch for over 6 months, we would never got that deal.
We have a great agent who brought the deal back to us when he saw it was relisted. So, or the price was dropped, whatever the situation was. So again, going back to reputation, that is everything.
And in that sense of creating that dumb luck, y'all, don't wait to strike the iron until it's hot. Don't try to mold your sword until the iron is done heating up. Yeah. Start beating that sword into submission and make it hot by hitting it. Yeah. And you'll eventually get yourself a sword.
For sure. Hey, I have an idea. We didn't talk about this. Right. I'm just throwing it out there for everyone to hear. How about we offer a bonus of a rehearsal? So if you send us a DM with the word cash, Eric and I, after we finish recording this, we'll do a role play of Eric asking me for money. Because let's be real, I'm the one with the money. Eric doesn't have any money.
I'm broke.
He gets an allowance.
Thanks, Ma.
But how's that sound? Like, we can talk through how you would approach somebody for money.
Okay, I like it.
All right. So if you DM us on Facebook or Instagram at the On Purpose Investor, just send us the word cash and we'll send you the video. And hopefully it'll be helpful to get you over that hurdle of feeling like you're asking for something and realizing you are offering an opportunity.
I love it.
All right. Well, all of this, I guess I want you to reframe how you're thinking. Do you really want to keep working hard at your job and trading your time for dollars so you can keep saving up tons and tons of cash to buy rentals and maybe buy 1 or 2 a year? Or do you want to find a way to leverage other people's money to scale faster like the big guys do? Send us a DM with that word cash. We'll send you our little banter. Hopefully it'll be an entertaining, informative lesson on how to approach somebody for money. And that's all I have. Anything else from you, Eric?
Well, just so you know, I'm going to go full character. I'm going into full character for this. I'm going to do outfits. I'm going to be...
Can you draw like a mustache, like eyeliner? Go get some eyeliner from one of your classmates.
Okay. I don't know if I'll do the mustache eyeliner, but I will do my best to get into character. It's going to be fun. Character? It's going to be worth it.
What character are you going to be?
Ooh, maybe I'll be like a young kid that just figured out real estate investing and just terrified.
And has an Australian accent or something. Like, let's make this really interesting. Oh, do your British accent. You used to do a really good British accent. I will
reserve that for the video. So you're going to have to send us that word cash to get this. But I will do the British accent.
All right. I feel like we need a lot of beer and wine to make this happen, but it's going to be great.
Yes. It's going to be great, y'all. Send that word cash. I'm done. I don't have anything else. I'm looking forward to this.
All right. Well, to be continued with that DM. We'll send you what happens. I don't know. It might be a train wreck. We'll see. All right. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out with us. What lessons can you take from this podcast and apply it to your life? Don't let the time you just invested go to waste. You only get one life, so live it purposely. That's all we have for you today. See you next time.
Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Head over to onpurposeinvestor.com and sign up for our newsletter to get all the latest updates. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate an honest review wherever you watch our podcast. All right, now go smash that subscribe and follow button for more tips on building your dream life. See you next week, Pathfinders.